Welcome back. It's me, Jesse Rowe with Inside Fighting, joined by Sean Woodson. Sean, how are you? You're just coming off your big win at UFC 297. It wasn't a win at first, and then it officially was a win. How you doing?
Crazy, man. I'm doing great. I'm doing great now that all got sorted out and we know what's what. Yeah, I'm feeling good, man.
Yeah, just I know you've talked about it a little bit, but just to give people a little bit of background on what happened, you fought Charles Jourdain, and obviously it was in Toronto, so he was the hometown favorite. People were rooting for him. The name, when Bruce Buffer announced the winner, it was a split decision. He announced Sean, but it sounds like Charles, I think is what happened. And so people thought
Yeah.
that it was that Charles Jourdain, and then it was all this confusion, and then you found out that you won. Just like now that you've had a few days to process it, was it like do you have a minute to laugh about it? Just put yourself in the mindset of that moment.
Yeah, well, exactly what you said. When he first read it off, the Sean sounded like Charles. And when I watched it back, it still sounds like that to me, the first part, but you can clearly hear him say the sniper Woodson
Right,
after.
right.
But that moment, it was so loud, the crowd was going crazy, and once I thought that I heard Charles, I didn't even listen to the rest of it. I was, heartbroken, devastated, and was just ready to, shake his hand and just leave out of the cage. And then yeah, they're like, you won. And yeah, I couldn't process what was happening. Like I wasn't, it seems like I was trying to like be all cinematic and play it, but I was dead serious. I thought I heard Charles won. I thought I had lost. Then DC, I thought DC was just shaking my hand to say good fight. And that was that. But he held on to my hand, like, where you going? You won. And yeah, I'm just like, what? I couldn't believe it. And not that I thought that I had lost that fight because, the moment the bell rang and the fight was over, I thought I did enough to win. But the moment I heard him reading the scorecards and I realized it was a split, and I'm like, man, we're in Canada in this dude's hometown.
Right.
I was like, I just was worried about that. And then, yeah, I thought I heard Charles, thought I lost, was devastated. But then yeah, they told me that wasn't the case, and I was just went from being super low to super high, and I've never experienced nothing like that in my life or my fight career ever.
Yeah, I loved your reaction when your coach comes up to you and says, "No, you won, dude. You won." You're like, "You're lying. You're lying, man." That was I thought that
Why?
was a true genuine reaction. Because everybody, there's somebody who's watching it at home. It was bizarre. It was very strange to watch live as it happened.
I bet.
I almost felt a little bad for Charles a little bit just because of how the high and low of that, where you got the reverse end of it. You got the low than the high. So um,
Yeah.
now shifting gears a little bit, we could do a little rapid fire here. What did you think of the main event? There's a lot of controversy about whether or not Strickland won. It was obviously a very close fight, another split decision fight. Did you watch it? Did you get a chance to see it live?
That's the thing. Yes, I haven't even watched that fight back yet, but yeah, I'm going to for sure. But yeah, I haven't watched it yet. But from what I'm seeing online and like the numbers and all that stuff, it's sounding like Strickland won and he got robbed. And going into that fight, I thought Strickland was the better fighter, and I assumed that he was going to win. So when they told me that Dricus won, I was like, man, I got to go back and watch that. But yeah, I seen Dana said he thought Strickland won, and according to the numbers of strikes landed per round, it looks like Strickland had the upper hand on that. So yeah, I'm interested to go back and see for sure.
Yeah, and also now this is a very silly question, but he did say yesterday that he wants to. Sean Strickland said that he would consider running for public office at some point when his fighting career is over. Would you give your vote to Sean Strickland for a congressional seat or some sort of public
Hey,
office?
hey, I just might, man, because as much controversial stuff that he says, I mean, I gotta be honest, I agree with like 95% of the stuff I've heard the dude say. He keeps it real. The truth hurts sometimes, but he's a real honest and upfront dude and keeps it real. Yeah, he might have a shot at that.
We got a featherweight title fight coming up at the next pay-per-view. Just curious what your thoughts are on Volk versus Topuria and who you got in that fight.
Yeah, so at first, when that matchup first got announced, I was probably thinking that Volk was going to do his thing and turn away another contender. But the more I look at it, I really feel like Topuria is going to get him. I think I'm one of the many people that feel like Volk doing that quick turnaround fight against Volk doing that fight against Islam and getting knocked out like that, and then doing this quick turnaround defending his belt. I think that might be to his detriment here, you know. And he's also 36. He's been reigning for a long time, and it's like, you know, that's, you know, father time gets us all. And Topuria's 26, on fire, got a lot of momentum on his side, and already being on fire and having the momentum. I feel like him seeing, you know, a chink in Volk's armor and seeing Volk get knocked out like that probably gave him a little more, you know, pep in his step. And yeah, I think I just got this feeling that Topuria is going to get him.
Yeah, it's that is big topic of conversation is the turnaround. What do you think if Volk loses, do you think that this is the end of his run at featherweight, or do you think that he still has another run in him?
I don't know. That's a good question. The fact that he's 36 kind of makes me feel like, you know, that might be his time. But I mean, we've also heard him say how he doesn't, you know, like he goes, you know, it messes with his head when he's just sitting around and not fighting. I've heard him talk about that. So he probably won't hang it up right away. He probably will. Yeah, the type of dude Volk is, I think he probably will try to get his belt back. Now, whether he gets it back or not, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, he'll still get after it and be chipping away for sure.
Yeah. Last question. You know, we just got big breaking news overnight. The UFC signed Kayla Harrison from the PFL. She's going to be supposedly fighting at bantamweight against Holly Holm. You know, she's never fought at bantamweight before. She's fought at 155. I mean, she used to compete at judo at 167. What are your thoughts on that fight? And what are your thoughts on just, you know, the UFC being able to make that happen?
That's crazy. So I saw that the UFC signed her and then she was fighting Holly Holm, but I assumed it was going to be at 45 since in PFL she was fighting at 55. So she's jumping straight from 55 to 35. That's crazy.
That's what it sounds like. Now we don't know. It's possible that they're gonna shift it, but that's the initial what Dana said. Yeah.
That's crazy. And yeah, that signing kind of like came out of nowhere. I didn't even hear that like that was in talks, but then again, I'm not surprised because you know, Dana always comes with it when, you know, like another promotion starts making, you know, big moves or whatever. Dana White,
Yeah.
you know, usually likes to try to trump people and one up them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So him snatching up Kayla, a typical Dana move, and you know, I love it though. I think it's pretty cool. And yeah, I'm interested to see that fight. But yeah, her jumping from 55 to 35, I don't think that's a smart move. And this coming from a guy who's very familiar with weight cutting and cuts a lot of weight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think her and I bet you they'll probably end up fighting at 45. But if it's 35, I'd be really interested to see if she even makes it to the fight.
You took the words right out of my mouth. That's why I brought it up, because you've actually kickboxed at heavyweight before, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah. My biggest was 230 pounds. Yeah, that's how I started my pro career.
And you're fighting at 145 now. That's unbelievable. I mean, so if anybody could say whether it's doable, I mean, you know, obviously everybody's different. Everybody cuts weight differently, right? It's not an exact science, but I mean, it has to be something where, because she was competing like at 170 in judo or something like that. So it seems like a pretty drastic one, but yeah, if anybody would know, it would be you, right?
Yeah, dude, I fought in damn near every weight class. I made my pro debut as a heavyweight in kickboxing, but I never should have been that big, bro. Like I had no business being a heavyweight. Like
Yeah.
I was just so out of shape or whatever. And yeah, once I started making my descent, like I had no clue about cutting weight at all. And yeah, from heavyweight, I fought at 205, and then yeah, went down to 85, and yeah, went to 70. And the transition from that 85 range to 70 was kind of rough because again, I didn't know what I was doing at the time. But yeah, once I kind of figured out what I was doing, it's funny how it happened. So I fought at 170 and I weighed in at 169. And the moment I saw 169 at the scale, I was like, oh man, I'm going to 55. And then I
Right.
made 55. And the first time at 55, I weighed in at 154. And I was like, oh man, I'm going down to featherweight now. So like that little 1 pound weight under each weight class just brought me down to the other one. But it stops at 45. There's no way I can make
Yeah.
35 ever.
Right.